is communism. This is what happens when America has fallen, San Francisco has fallen, is that our highways are being turned into parks for bicycles and pedestrians and people with dogs and bookmobiles.
March 13th, 2025. Hours before this controversial stretch of San Francisco highway is closed for good. It's a beautiful spring-like day. The sun is setting over the Pacific Ocean. People from all over the Bay Area took one last drive to say goodbye to Great Highway.
Cruising the Great Highway was a rite of passage for a lot of people, and these are the final hours you'll be able to do it.
During the pandemic, San Francisco's Great Highway became the Great Walkway. Now the debate is whether it should stay that way.
In 1 week since San Francisco's Great Highway was closed down to make way for a park, the closure has been controversial since its proposal.
While the rest of the country went to the polls in one of the most divisive elections in recent memory, the people of San Francisco were split on something a lot more mundane. Proposition K called for the permanent closure of Great Highway between Lincoln and Sloat to vehicle traffic to be replaced with a 2-mile-long beachfront park. More park space is always good, right? Who the hell could be against this? Turns out a lot of people, especially locals within the Sunset neighborhood where Great Highway was. The opposition to the removal of the Great Highway has been framed as a locals versus gentrifiers debate, a working class versus laptop-carrying remote workers debate, and NIMBYs versus YIMBYs debate. And while there is some truth to all of those, we need to understand the geography of the city itself. The Sunset is in the western half of San Francisco, leading up to the Pacific Ocean. And by standards of most American cities, it is very dense and urbanized, but compared to the rest of SF, it's basically the suburbs. Most of the homes in the area are single family or duplex, many owned by the people who live in them, with a high concentration of families and native San Franciscans who have been in the city for generations. It's probably one of the few neighborhoods that gentrification has mostly spared, although that's debatable as well. Some locals argue that because Prop K was a citywide vote, it lessened the impact of the voices of the people who were most affected by the highway's closure. People who live and work in the Sunset and commute to or from the outer suburbs in San Mateo County. At first glance, the Sunset is well connected to the rest of the city via public transit, with 2 Muni Metro lines and several buses crisscrossing the area. But the service on these is often insufficient, and there's no reliable way to get to the peninsula, which is very sprawling and car-centric. This will likely be made even worse in the coming months, as Mayor Daniel Lurie is planning to cut $7 million from the Muni budget and reduce service citywide by 4%. But at least Waymos can drive on Market Street now, so they can just take a Waymo, I guess. While people who are against the closure of Great Highway argued that traffic on Sunset would get worse as a result, the proponents said that Sunset was good enough as is. It already basically covered a similar route and went to the same places, and that removing Great Highway would not lead to an increase of traffic.
That's Sunset. There is a lot of traffic on it, but it's getting used. It's getting used. Like, people are happy. Look. Beautiful highway right there. They should just rename Sunset Great Highway. Then they'd be happy. Spoiler alert, so far, it's been about a month now, and as of making this video, studies have shown that the volume of traffic on Sunset Boulevard has increased, although there's a caveat here. It's not necessarily increased above pre-pandemic levels. How do you respond to the argument that it's made traffic worse? Is there like a solution to that?
I think people who live in the Sunset District and don't really leave the Sunset District have an interesting definition of bad traffic. I think if you go downtown and, places like Soma, and you can see what bad traffic looks like, when your commute is 20 minutes and it adds 5 extra minutes on, like a normal rush hour period, I think that's sort of expected, and I don't see why we should sort of design society around making sure that doesn't happen. There are ways to improve it, and this is like one of the more transit accessible parks in the city. I think about 6 Muni lines touch the space between the N and the L light rail line, and then the 7, the 43 and not the 43.
Lots of buses.
Lots of buses,
hella buses.
Yeah, it's really on the city to increase Muni funding and bring back service, that's the lines that were cut, because then that's how traffic will go away. It's not about a park, it's about other options.
I mean, follow the science. The science says that there's 3 to 6 minutes of additional traffic, and even that is below pre-pandemic levels. So you're actually still getting a reduction from pre-pandemic. But if you're really mad about it, we have this wonderful thing called BART, we have this wonderful thing called Muni, and like the rest of us, you can just take public transit.
One thing is, public transit is difficult to get to. Let's say you're commuting to like San Mateo County. Do you think that the city should create more public transit as a way to compromise, as a way to like...
Oh, absolutely. You know, Muni is seeing a $7 million budget crisis that Daniel Lurie has all but signed off on, and at the same time he's allowing robo-taxis onto Market Street, which is a huge pedestrian and bike and bus corridor. So maybe Daniel Lurie needs to figure out where his priorities are and see if we really need to revitalize downtown with robo-taxis or if we need to revitalize with public transit.
So what do you think about the argument that traffic on Sunset has gotten worse? Like, what do you think that they should do about that?
Yeah, so just like there's induced demand when you build a new highway, there's also reduced demand when you remove capacity on a roadway. People kind of figure it out, and the increased demand for creating a rapid bus facility north-south in the Sunset, which is really, really needed. There's a lot of ways that people adapt to a change in road capacity on a corridor, and what you see in this immediate moment is not necessarily going to be how it is over time, and we can make it better by investing in transit.
Because obviously, like, traffic has gotten bad on Sunset because of this. Like, what do you think they should do to like divert that traffic?
They should increase bus service. More buses come by, more people can get out of their cars and use them. Make it easier for people to get to point A to point B without a car.
Yes.
And then for San Francisco, that really does include building more housing where the jobs are. So San Francisco hasn't built any housing or very little housing to accommodate job growth in the past 40 years. My answer to that is San Francisco, please do your part in tackling the housing crisis and allow housing to be built, legalize apartments.
To understand the whole fight over Great Highway, we do have to go back to 2020 when the COVID pandemic basically shut down the entire city.
New at noon in the past few hours, San Francisco ordering a ban on gatherings of more than 1,000 people.
County Mayor London Breed just finished updating the media, recognizing that this ban is disruptive, but saying it's an important step to support public health.
We know that this is necessary because right now it's about mitigating the impacts.
The San Francisco Bay Area on lockdown due to the COVID-19 pandemic. U.S. President Donald Trump urges Americans on Monday to halt most social activities for 15 days and not congregate in groups larger than 10 people.
During lockdown, when a large portion of the city's white-collar workforce was working from home, the city temporarily closed Great Highway to vehicle traffic and opened it to pedestrians and bicycles to give people a safe, social-distanced outdoor space to gather. I lived in San Francisco during this time, and this temporary park was extremely popular. But in August of 2021, they reopened it to cars on weekdays, keeping it closed as a park on Saturdays and Sundays. This arrangement was made permanent in December of 22 when the Board of Supervisors voted to collect visitor data on both pedestrian and car traffic to study the effects of making it a park permanently. A big driver of this was more than just benefiting the neighborhood with a nice little park. Ocean Beach, which the highway sits next to, is notorious for its massive sand dunes that cover the highway and result in closures on an almost weekly basis to remove sand from the roadway. It cost the city up to $700,000 per year just to keep the roadway sand free, and on top of that, traffic signal replacement and other maintenance costs of over $1 million annually. So a big part of the highway's closure is budgetary, and some would say inevitable due to climate change and erosion, even if Prop K didn't pass.
I am born and raised in the Bay Area. I'm currently a UC Berkeley student, and one thing that I really love about San Francisco is how beautiful it is. And frankly, we don't get enough parks, and we have a lot of roads. And so just to see not only so many people coming out and being excited for something so beautiful, but also taking down something that has been such a detriment to our climate and our community and our economy is really cool.
After much debate and protest, Proposition K passed with 54% of the citywide vote, although most of the yes vote came from people outside of the Sunset neighborhood. Regardless, on March 13th of this year, motorists took their final drive on Great Highway. The road was closed the next morning. 1 month later, on April 12th, the new park was open to the public. The city held a competition to give it a new name. Over 4,000 submissions were sent in, including some fun ones like Parky McParkface. But the winner chosen was Sunset Dunes. This name choice hasn't been liked by some.
I just got out of the gym, so I look like crap, but seriously, Sunset Dunes? You picked that when Great Parkway was available? Seriously, Sunset Dunes sounds like one of those retirement homes owned by private equity that they send your grandma to, where they can give her the bare minimum to stay alive so they can milk whatever meager inheritance you might have expected to get from you. It's a terrible name. Like, it's accurate because it's dunes in the sunset, but the name just sounds weird. They should have gone with Great Parkway. Way cooler.
In fact, someone even made posters and threw them up all around town and bought ads on Instagram claiming that the Parks Commission had chosen the name Misty Mile, which wasn't even one of the finalists. I don't know, I kind of like Misty Mile. It sounds like a Fortnite drop zone. I can imagine you'd find the best loot at Misty Mile. Epic Games, if you can hear me, please put Misty Mile into the next season. That would be hella sick. You can even base it off of this park. Come on, guys. Do it.
So what started this whole thing to get rid of the highway?
More like to create a park for people. In COVID times, they converted this space into a park to give people space for socially distanced activities, and then it became extremely popular. It became the third most popular city park after the Marina Green and I think Golden Gate Park. And yeah, it's kind of created a life of its own, and there's the Great Hauntway every year, which is the biggest Halloween celebration in California. And yeah, it's an amazing space. Every city sort of deserves a beachfront promenade, and now we have one.
Do you think this park is going to kind of stay like this, where we have the road still, but it's just kind of like a walking park? Or do you think they're going to change it over time? What do you think they're going to do with it?
Yeah, I mean, if you go all the way down to the other end, there's already a little skate park set up. People are there's a sign over there that says "Park in Progress." This is a park being built over time. If you look at JFK and Golden Gate Park, at first it was just a street that had been closed down to vehicles, and if you go there now, there's a piano. There's a piano here too. Folks are playing the piano. Yeah, there's a piano all the way down there, and so but JFK now there's all this art on the pavement, and it just kind of gets adapted over time and full. It feels full.
So what is your opinion on this park?
Oh, I love it. It's so cool that it's open to people. You see so many people just walking. There's a real desire for this. There's so much room to spread out. You could bike, roller skate, do whatever you want. I came out all the way from Oakland just to check it out.
Do you feel like we should open it back up to cars and potentially add 3 or 4 more lanes to it?
Absolutely not.
Opposition to the new park was fierce, to say the least. Residents straight up said, "Not in my backyard," to the idea of Sunset Dunes. And they are still fighting. Opponents have argued, unsuccessfully, that it will increase traffic in the neighborhood. They've claimed it will cause an uptick in gentrification and change the character of the neighborhood. And these concerns are valid. You could potentially see rents go up as the property in the neighborhood becomes more desirable. But proponents say this is false and that there are other ways to help make the area affordable.
And what do you think about the people that say that this is part of gentrifiers coming in and destroying the neighborhood?
If you're still using the argument that benefiting a neighborhood is gentrification, you have really lost the plot, because every neighborhood deserves amenities, regardless of where you are.
So if you look around at the crowd here, the folks from across the city, people of all different backgrounds enjoying this space. This is, I think there's an impulse to say that any change that makes public spaces better is inherently gentrification. But that feels very defeatist. It feels like we can't make neighborhoods better. Obviously, you have to do so in a way that's participatory, and so many things have to go into that. But just pointing to a space like this is, something's changed and there's like an improvement, and like thus it's gentrification. That's kind of a circular way of thinking.
Circular way of thinking.
Yeah.
I like that. What do you say to the people that call this gentrification?
I don't think that parks by themselves are gentrification. I think, not building housing and other ways that sort of force working people out of the city are gentrification. This space, exists in a neighborhood where a lot of third spaces like Playland and Fly Shacker Pool are no longer here, and the city, the Sunset is one of the more car-dependent areas in the city, and is very much in need of third spaces for families, for kids, for everyone who doesn't work a weekend, for people who work a weekend job and couldn't have just experienced the compromised park on weekends. It's not really gentrification. It's just a more creation of third spaces that every city, not just San Francisco, but everywhere in the country is kind of in need of now.
But people against the park also say that removing Great Highway infringes on the rights of all people, including motorists, to enjoy the coast as they see fit, saying that pedestrians and cyclists already have the beach. Why do they need the road as well? Some local car enthusiasts enjoy cruising down Great Highway to take in the views on their own terms. And honestly, I was one of those motorists for a long time. I loved Great Highway. So I used to work in a warehouse in San Francisco in a part of town where driving was the only reliable option. And after a hard day at the office, a drive down Great Highway, windows down, music at full blast, was therapeutic. And who are we to take that away? But San Francisco is a democracy, and the people voted, and the beach doesn't just belong to those who live right next to it. Supporters of the park argue that the beach is for everyone, and cars have plenty of places to drive, including the remaining stretches of Great Highway that are still open to traffic. You can see the ocean from there too. There were a few protesters at the opening of the park, and I really wanted to be able to talk to some of them and get their perspective. But by the time I got to the beach, they'd all gone home. It seems that they were outnumbered by residents enjoying the new beachfront promenade 100-1.
And honestly, it feels kind of good to see a bunch of people who just lost a campaign honk and protest and then give up because they realize that the people in the parks have won.
Did they really give up?
I mean, it's been pretty quiet. They were honking for about an hour and it's been silent, so that's what I would call giving up, at least for today.
So what are your thoughts on their side of the argument? Like, what do you think about it?
I mean, I think when you've had power for a long time, you don't want to give it away, and ultimately the drivers have had a lot of power for a long time, and now we're giving it back to the people. So yeah, if I was losing my power, I'd be upset too, but it's a more fair way to do it, and they'll have to accept it. The people running the campaign, we know that there was a January 6th on that campaign, so she's not necessarily known for accepting election losses, but it's exciting to see that we've just about won, and you can't really do much about it.
Well, it's a beautiful park.
It's a really beautiful park, and a lot of people agree. More people than the protesters were out earlier.
So this is wonderful, and everybody here seems to either think this is wonderful or thought it was a bad idea for some reason, and they're like trying not to enjoy it. But that's like a small portion of the folks. But you'll overhear conversations of folks trying to convince themselves that this is not heaven on earth. This is heaven on earth.
What are the arguments for why it should be a highway?
One I heard somebody talking about how there's a diversity of how people enjoy the outdoors and nature, and some people don't necessarily want to be fully outdoors, and you have to give them that opportunity by allowing them to drive next to the ocean, essentially. And they were here trying not to enjoy it.
Were they protesting?
No, they were just talking. There were some people protesting, though. There's some folks.
Talk to them so bad.
Yeah, they were honking earlier, apparently. I wasn't here, but then they stopped because nobody was listening.
This is a good contribution to the city. I'm enjoying it. So this is communism. This is what happens when America has fallen, San Francisco has fallen, is that our highways are being turned into parks for bicycles and pedestrians and people with dogs and bookmobiles. We're cooked, y'all. We're so cooked. I used to come out here and chill anyway. It's gonna be so much nicer with all this shit.
I love the mural work that they've had out here too.
That is
so cute.
I got my little drip here, my little ribbon.
What the significance of these?
Yes.
No.
100 years ago when this opened, or about 100 years ago when this opened as a road, they gave out yellow commemorative ribbons, and now it's saying like how, like the historical significance of whatever the fuck is going on with this road. And 100 years later, we're getting ribbons again.
Yes. This type of plant is invasive and not natural to the California coastline. It was planted during World War II to provide foliage for, I don't know, military equipment, tanks and such.
Military?
Yeah, during World War II. And now it's overgrown everywhere, and we really should be ripping this out and replanting it with native flora and fauna.
That's interesting, because like, I always thought that this stuff was like homegrown, like it was so comforting to see.
I thought it was like a legit thing that was just like native Californian. Good to know. So this is the Great Highway.
I'm glad that they like left the road. Although you kind of feel like how crazy it is if this is just cars. Yeah. Like it's nice because like we get to see everything.
Honestly, I'm like, sure, this is I'm out here like vandalizing shit. Oh man.
But it's like, it's just, I hope they add more like benches and things like.
Oh, I'm sure that will come along with time.
I think it will, because this is just now like just a glorified bike path.
Enjoying our time at this beautiful new park. It has been well taken care of. I like that they kind of kept the road going. I don't know if they're going to do that forever, but it does kind of remind you like, oh, look at how like much space there was here. And I was a fan of the Great Highway. I love driving the Great Highway. It was like one of my favorite things to do. And I don't know, this is also nice.
I think the road closure is terrible.
Some people see it this way.
Up Sunset, there's a ton more traffic, 19th Avenue, so it's just going to impact the neighborhood, unfortunately.
San Francisco residents are letting their frustration be known over the closing of the Great Highway. Some of the suggested names for the park that have been submitted include, quote, really stupid park and adios cars. More than 100 submissions either criticized Supervisor Joel Lingardia or supported him. He played a major role in the park's creation.
When they get frustrated with those two north-south lanes, they end up going through our streets.
Chow, like many residents in this area, places a lot of the blame on his District 4 Supervisor, Joel Lingardia.
Now, opponents of that plan have filed a lawsuit saying Proposition K supporters rushed their plans through and didn't follow the law.
This is a very straightforward piece of litigation for asking a judge to say what the law is.
Reaction to that vote has been intense, with some residents opposed to this plan, asking for the supervisor in the district who supported the plan to be recalled. Well, today, those emotions were overshadowed as the park replacing the Great Highway officially opened.
I think there is a little bit of a downfall because we used it also as commuting during the week, so it ebbs and flows.
It's going to bring traffic into our streets, jam up Sunset Boulevard, jam up 19th Avenue, and guess what? That's going to make it worse for our businesses, worse for safety, for our children, for our elderly.
As soon as Prop K was passed, residents laid the blame on their county supervisor, Joel Engardio. He was one of the biggest backers of the plan to close Great Highway, but voters in the Sunset District that he represents opposed the plan with 64% voting no. Soon after, a campaign to recall Engardio was started, and residents have been gathering signatures to have a special election. They have until May to gather 9,400 signatures to get the recall on the ballot, but as of April 13th, when I'm making this video, they have not yet done so. Supervisor Connie Chan, who represents the neighboring Richmond district where the northern part of Great Highway is still open, has promised to work on introducing a ballot measure to remove the park and reopen the highway to traffic on weekdays, allowing it to remain car-free on weekends as it had been for the past 5 years. But in order to do so, Chen needs the approval of 6 of the 11 county supervisors, which may be difficult, but not impossible.
What do you think of people that want to reopen it? Do you think they're just sore losers?
I would like them to come out here and experience this and really reflect on why would we want to have them think about that question. What purpose would reopening the highway serve? Who would benefit from it? Because right now, everyone's benefiting from this being closed down, not just a select few of people who are driving in their cars by themselves, most likely.
In the meantime, the city is working hard to build up the park and add more amenities to it as time goes on, calling it a park in progress. But some Bay Area locals have a different compromise in mind.
So we decided that in order to do a good compromise between the people that want to keep the highway and the people that want to keep the roads, we had a couple of proposals. Like, you said Embarcadero Freeway.
I think we do Embarcadero Freeway here, so we just do a big elevator.
Yeah, so that way
because then you can still be here.
Exactly.
But with the ambiance of cars.
And you get shade.
And all the exhaust could just float in the air over to the house.
Here's my
And then they'll be happy because then they have car access back and they'll get their exhaust back.
Let me tell you,
it's a win-win.
I'm a surfer. I was raised surfing, and one complaint I have about the oceans here is that they're very cold. So we really need more carbon dioxide going into the air right here for global warming so that we can have a nice warm beach.
And then our park will be even nicer because there'll be more warm days.
Yes.
And then the cranks won't complain because, they always, because they're like, why would people come out here? It's always foggy. Not anymore.
Not anymore. We eliminated weather.
So my plan actually was to take half of the highway and take the half close to the ocean for cars and let people have the other part. But then they all kind of agreed that elevated highway above and then people below. But what if we did people above and cars below?
Yeah, because cars deserve ocean.
Yes, and that's the thing is people want to drive by the ocean.
What would you say to the people whose views are blocked?
Like build high, right?
What's your response to that?
Oh, whose views are blocked?
Yeah, like those people.
Oh, we can install a giant iPad.
Ooh, yes.
With a view of the
ocean.
Love
that.
Even better.
Like that's what I'm thinking.
Or like hundreds of iPads.
Yeah. And it could play ads every once in a while.
How people send roses on TikTok and stuff. That's how we're gonna fund park maintenance. Is you send stuff to the official live stream.
Cell service is pretty shitty here, so they should bring full 5G and maybe that'll fix things.
We need a cell tower right where it stands.
Yeah.
Yes.
We need to poorly disguised as.
So my thought was that the city could sell ads on the iPad, right?
Yes.
Right on the iPads, right?
Giant electronic one.
And they'll play occasionally.
Really?
And you could pay, the residents could pay to skip the ads.
Yes. Oh my God. This should be the portal. I want to go. I want to see yeah.
That's the portal?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that would be great. I think that portal should go to LA maybe. It should go to Venice Beach.
Or it should go to Toledo, Ohio, somewhere that they don't have water, so we can flex on them.
Toledo, Ohio. I'm thinking Omaha.
Omaha, yeah.
The middle of Oklahoma, really.
Oklahoma City.
Flex on them, yeah.
Thank you guys.
Got a lot of time. Don't wanna let it slide. About to get exceeded like such a nice summer of July. Look at all the stars. Tell me where you are. 오늘이 지나면 후회를 따윈 없어요.
This is a beautiful place. Say hello. Hello to Alex and Ren. We are walking together.
Legalize apartments.
Hell yeah. Legalize apartments.
Legalize apartments. That sounds like a good idea.
It's only begun. Just let all your problems go.
still surround.